thanks for having me. I came a long ways to be here. Not really, just an hour. I'm up in Davis County, um, but I'm surprised how much Provo has changed. It's crazy. Um, well, I'm gonna do death by PowerPoint. I'm gonna read everything word for word. Just kidding. I hate when people do that. It's like, I can read, I can read, I can do this. Um, but let me just give you a quick background. Um, since I don't know a ton of connections down in Provo. I know most of mine in Salt Lake and Davis County. But most of my career has been in HR. So the last few years, I was the head of HR for mining companies. So I know it sounds really exciting. It's really just like Facebook or Amazon. So that was a joke. But my biggest job, so really when you think of HR, they're like, oh, bureaucracy or red tape or people that get in the way. My job was employee experience, and that's where companies are going. I don't care about EBITDA, revenue, all those different things. If your employee experience is bad, you don't take care of your employees, everything's going to dip down. If you take care of your employees, everything will go up because your employees are going to take care of your clients, your customers, everything else, and that's why we have businesses, right? So it was a big challenge because we didn't have really much diversity. Really, many females were attracted to coming to mining companies. They've been around for 150 years. So how did I change that mindset so we had more people thinking about how can I work for a great company? And that's really what my job was. So some of the great things that I've done, not that I've done, but what I brought onto companies were on-site benefits. And I really saw it change employees. I mean, when I say lives, that sounds pretty like a big truth, but really people have felt better, they were engaged, and that was the biggest thing that I could do as an HR department. So some of those services that we brought on site were dental, chiropractic, massage, things like that. And so employees, not just hump day on Wednesday, like, hey, that broke up the week. They're like, I'm excited now, the week's going down. But when they had massages, things like that, they looked forward to those services and they felt really good about having those. And it would break up the minutia of work and things like that, even if they worked for an employer that was not as exciting to work for, like a mining company. So let me jump right in. So let's see if you can see okay. So what was some of the problems? So attracting, motivating, engaging talent. That's one of our biggest problems in companies. How can we do that? And that's really the employee experience. And that's what Luxe Benefits is all about. And I'll get kind of through what Luxe is. And then the second one is employees are one of the most expensive costs to companies. How can we make that so we're getting the ROI and improving morale and focus for employees? And a big thing for HR is, and for any company, is how can we keep employees safe and avoid, workplace injuries? And a big thing, and this is why I went into Luxe, the vision side, is vision is not a very big priority. So we have medical, dental, vision, kind of in that order for HR or for companies. Medical, everyone has medical. They don't want to have $1 million bill sent to their home. So they're on medical so they can have that subsidized and that taken care of. Dental, everyone takes care of their teeth usually because that's how their health usually is. If their teeth's bad, usually their health's bad. But for vision, I've talked to people, they're like, hey, I haven't had an eye exam for 5 years. I can hardly see when I'm driving at night. I'm like, well, why are you driving at night in the first place? But I've just found out vision is not a very big priority for people, and it's not very convenient. And then going along with that is benefits are really expensive. I think at my last company, it was about a $20,000 bill per family to cover their medical. And then for vision and other services, you have to take time off, after work, weekends, and no one really wants to do that. So what Luxe is we have multiple services. It sounds like a lot, but our main bread and butter is vision. So we go literally inside of companies, and we set up, it's called a pop-up shop, and we have the full vision clinic in there. So you can get your eye examined in about 15 minutes. Usually it's about 2 to 3 hours. It sounds like a long time to get your eyes checked, but you're just sitting there. You fill out the paperwork, you sit there again, you go to another room, sit there, wait for the optometrist, go to another room, sit there again, and it's just very old school. So we go literally inside of a company, and it's free to the company. We just go through their vision insurance, and the employees just pay their co-pays and any overages on glasses and frames. So literally you can get it done in 15 to 30 minutes. We ship everything directly to your house, and that's really the vision side. So we make it more of a priority so you can get those glasses and contacts directly to you without having to do much effort. The other surfaces are going to be a little bit more self-explanatory. I mean, who doesn't want nails? Even for the guys, we can do sports manicures. So I don't know if you've ever had those, but they massage your fingers, your hands, your wrists, and your arms. And really that's where you hold a lot of your stress. You're driving, you're sitting at a computer, you're typing, and having that sports manicure will make you feel more engaged and kind of bring that, depth back into like, oh, that's why I'm working here. And, you feel like you want to give back to your employer instead of just like, I'm just doing a 9-to-5 job. When the day's over, let me get out of here as quick as I can. And then some of the other services, diet, nutrition, we all need that. I think I've had COVID-10, meaning I've gained 10 pounds during COVID. We all need to do better. So we have diet nutritionists that come on site. We can do team building, so it can be a team environment or one-on-ones to help people have a nutrition plan, a meal plan for themselves. Some of the most popular ones are chiropractic and massage therapy. So they kind of go hand in hand. You get an adjustment, you're kind of literally aligned, you feel better, and then the next day massage therapy comes in and actually gets you, so it's not just a fluff and buff, I call it. You get a quick massage afterwards that you feel like, wow, I feel worse than I did before. So you have the chiropractic and massage, they go really hand in hand. Some of the last two, mental health therapy is a really big one, or EAP is what we call it in the HR world, Employee Assistance Program. So we can do that either on site or we can do it over telehealth as well, because some employees think it might be a taboo to be like, oh, I don't want to meet with a therapist at my company. Everything's confidential, right? And, we're HIPAA compliant, but some employees just don't feel comfortable, so we can do it also over telehealth, and you can meet with, a therapist for any kind of situation. It doesn't have to be, mental health. It can be, maybe your coworkers are just difficult to work with, or maybe one's a bully, or how do you deal with different situations, or family situations, kids, things like that. And that's really a big focus of ours is employee health. Because at my previous companies, all we had was, I think my last company, we paid $35,000 just for a 1-800 number. So you can call that number, talk to a therapist, and no one ever called it. So it was very informal. Every company is supposed to have them, but no one really utilizes them because they're really outdated and very impersonal. So having us come on site or over telehealth will really benefit your employees. And then lastly, this is just one I picked up because everyone's like, why don't you just do a quick 15-minute haircuts? No one wants to go to sports clips, stuff like that, and it takes a little bit. We just come and do 15-minute haircuts and then just quick trims for the ladies for their bangs and for their split ends. And that's really Luxe in a nutshell. So we really bring employee experience to companies, and we make it fun. We make employees engaged, motivated, and just bring a new life within an organization and company. So everyone's wondering, how does it work? So very high level is you decide which benefits you want. We really customize it for your needs. What works, what doesn't, because not every service, they might want. We won't tell if they want all 7. That's great. But usually we start with a few. Usually chiropractic, massage therapy, or vision, because vision's free. If they go through our vision insurance, we carry the top 8 vision insurance. And then we get everything else taken care of. So you schedule, there's text reminders, there's email reminders, and that's really it. You fill out your intake paperwork, which is what you guys all fill out when you go to a doctor. It takes you 30 minutes to fill it out normally. You sit in that waiting room. Here, you just go online, you fill out, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes, and we have all that paperwork. So when we see you, everything's ready to go. We have it in the system, and that makes our process a lot faster. And then here we come. So for vision, we do have a van. We have all the equipment in the van. For the other ones, like massage therapy, we just have, massage table or massage chair. So it's something very portable. You can fit it in any type of car. And then repeat. So these services are not just a one-time thing. We come once, once a year. We want to come once a week, once a month, so your employees are being engaged. And it doesn't take one time seeing like a chiropractor or a massage therapist. Your employees want to be able to be engaged and have them multiple times. So here's some things for 1 Million Cups. So as part of the assignment, what's working, what isn't, and what could I use help with? So what is working? So we've launched about 50 days ago. So we're really new, about a month and a half in. We were going to launch the first Monday of April, and then COVID hit. And everyone's like, man, you launched a business at a terrible time. I'm like, well, it's all how you look at it. I see it as a great time. I just had to really take a step back and figure out, what's the best strategy and pivot so we can make this work. And this part is kind of the first strategy of multiple. We don't just go to businesses, but we're looking at going to apartment complexes and multifamily homes and things like that, because they have thousands of people and they're all working from home. How can we bring great services to them and attract people to go to those apartment complexes, because there's so many, especially with the housing market going up. It's expensive. How can we make them stand out? So that is working. We just had our first client last week, and we're getting, new clients every week, so it's exciting. COVID's starting to die down a little bit. Meeting here in person, this is great, instead of everything over Zoom or Google Meets, which we've seen that have all those challenges, right? So me working from home 100%, it sounds fantastic, but then you got your kids, all these different things you didn't really think about, and you have kind of the opposite end of the spectrum of working all day long at your office. Things that aren't working, we're so new, and we just really have to be patient with COVID. Majority of clients and companies are going to be going back in 2021. So really just being patient and getting our model and our operations set up so we can have everything streamlined, and getting ready for 2021 is going to be big. What could we use help with? That's a tough question. I don't know. I look for, like, with networking and coming to these things, is more partnerships of what can we get from each other and how can we grow and sustain each other. But from anything I'm looking for, use help with, I think just being partnerships and networking, connecting with great individuals like yourself is great for me. So before I go to the contact us, any questions? I know I just went through a lot of different things. Yeah. Seth,
who do you
right?
see as your target entrant point into the market? What are the companies? What do you look for in a company specifically to target to become a?
Yeah, great question. So our TAM, our total addressable market, it's a little bit different based on what services. Let me go back to the services page. So the vision, we need a little bit more. So our minimum for all these services is 4 hours, which is usually about 15 employees if they do 15-minute slots, or some could do 30-minute slots, just based on it. But for vision, we need probably a company the size of 150 plus employees, because if we're going a full day, that's about 30 employees, or a half day, about 15. And we have to have a good utilization. So we have a good, not competition, but really it's supply and demand. So if we're giving too much and it's not setting up enough appointments, that means we need to go a little bit less. So we're getting a good balance. For the other services, it's probably about 50 employees or more. And we can go up to 20, 30,000. So we can go once a day, once a month, once a year, based on the company size. So most companies can benefit from this instead of just the big, really big tech companies. Companies of 100, can have these great services too. Great question. Any others? Yeah, go ahead.
I got the big concern, I would say, would be how are you keeping your servers and your security levels? Because that, as an employer, my liability extends. If you're doing mental health, HIPAA's going to kill us. So I got to make sure. Are you running your servers? Are you leasing servers? What's the security protocol for you guys? If I'm looking at having you come in and do any even optical, I'm concerned, because now my employee information is out there. It's unsecure, and so I got to know, for us, what is your? I didn't see anything you mentioned. You just kind of mentioned HIPAA, but it's like, That's a big deal because now you're talking mental health issues
Mhm.
and chiropractic, and those are all have to do with people's health.
Yeah, great question. And I didn't go into that, so you could ask that question. Just kidding. I didn't know. So being in benefits, most of my career and in HR, that's a very important thing. Everything's confidential, and it's especially in these open offices, it's hard to have HR career when you can't really say anything. But all of our services are tied to an AHR, employee health records. So every doctor, dentist, optometrist, chiropractor, they all have an EHR, and those are all HIPAA compliant, secure. So we put all the data in there, or the candidate or the employee's information, so we can be able to share that with doctors, and it's all encrypted and secure. So just like you go to any physician, doctor, we have that same setup. So all your information is safe. And none of it's shared, so it stays. We have our own server. It's in a couple locations, just because we don't want it to go down in here and then everything's down. So we have it here, and I think it's based in London is the other server, and then we have our AHR program, which is on the cloud, and then we have all the information on there for our clients and the employees that we see. So great question. Did I answer your question? Okay, awesome. Very important. Yeah. Any other questions, guys? In the back. Wish I could just say names, but
Hey, I'm Landon, and I'm just curious, as you're going and meeting with the potential target customers, what are some of the roadblocks that you kind of have that come up typically that you have to solve with them to get to that sale?
so just to restate, I don't know if you guys could hear super well with the mask on, but with reaching out, most of the clients are going to be HR that we reach out to, because they're going to be the ones making these decisions, benefit decisions. But what are some of the roadblocks that we have to make the sell? And really, the way I look at it, it's not a sell. I look at it as more of a solution. How do we solve problems that HR has? Every HR is going to have problems with attracting, engaging, and motivating talent. One of my last companies, I think, just in the U.S. alone, was $10 million a year in turnover. So it's very expensive. And so how can we address that and show them, like, this is our solution? But some of the biggest roadblocks that we get is employers. This is all new, right? So with vision, no one's done that. I think that the only competition I have is in Boston. And so they have like a mobile unit. So it's like, I call it the food truck model. So they have this big $500,000 RV, and they drive in and you get your eyes examined there. So the biggest roadblock that we have is employers just don't understand, and they kind of make assumptions without us getting a little bit further in the process. So they just say, hey, we're not interested in new benefits or adding new benefits. And we're like, hey, this is already a benefit you have. It's a voluntary benefit, meaning your employees usually pay 100% of vision. So really all it is supplementary. So we just can go directly on site. Doesn't cost you guys anything. We take care of your marketing and everything. So it's very minimal. What's the word? Disruption. Thank you. So very little disruption and little time for them to do this. So we send out the marketing, everything, so their employees can get set up. We handle all the questions, customer service. So really, as long as they can help us get the area to get it set up in, that's really it. But that's probably our biggest roadblock, is employers not understanding what our services are and how it's very little disruption for them. And they kind of just assume, like, hey, we already have benefits. We're not looking to add anything to our budget or to our benefits because we already have them. But really, it's just something to add on that's not a big challenge for them. So once we get them past that hurdle, it's usually about COVID. So when can we go back in? When can we go in the office? Because we're fully COVID compliant, so we have all our masks, gloves, all of our, I think that was a big expense, was hand sanitizer at the time. I think it's starting to go down in price a little bit, but still it was very hard to find for months. But those are some of our biggest roadblocks, is COVID and just not understanding the services. So great question. Any others? Yeah.
You might have answered this beginning. So are you going directly to the broker community, or are you reaching out to companies directly? And then do you replace if they have an existing vision plan, or does this kind of bolt on and work alongside if an employer already has vision.
So first question, you meant, are we working directly with brokers or going directly to the companies? Correct? And then are we replacing their vision program? So first question, so we work with all the brokers. So in my past life, I knew all the brokers. There's still one I'm still trying to partner with, GBS. They're a bigger one here in the Valley, but with Gallagher, Mercer, Diversified, all those that are here, and then the big local national players, or local and national players, we work with them. So if a company is saying, hey, I like this, but I'm not going to make any decision without my broker, because they're really the partner. They're really a financial advisor for the company on what my benefits should be, and they give you that direction on your 401k and any other type of benefit. So if we get that as a roadblock, or that kind of gets in the way, then we work with the broker to say, hey, this client's really interested. Can you let them know about our services and go from there? And then second question is, does this replace the vision program or the vision insurance that they have? Yes and no. So a lot of people pay for their insurance, their vision insurance, and if you don't pay for it, you don't have to go, you have all those premiums, so you're probably paying $15 to $30 a month, so not a ton. But if you put that aside and you just pay it directly to exams that we come on site, it's probably going to save you money, because ours is $60 for an eye exam or $120 for an eye exam and contact. Normally it's about $250 for that. If you go to any client or clinic, sorry. And so really with getting rid of your vision insurance, it really will cost about the same or a little bit cheaper. Because you're paying, regardless if you go to the doctor or not, you're going to be paying those premiums every paycheck. And so it really is a case-by-case scenario. So if someone doesn't have insurance, we can definitely help them out. It'll probably be a savings that they don't have those premiums. And if they do have insurance, you just get reimbursed pretty much everything but $10. That's usually the copay. And if you pay over your contact and frame allowance, you get reimbursed everything minus that too. So yeah, did that answer your question? Okay. Any others?
Matt, we talked a little bit before we started this
Yeah.
presentation today. Can you talk a little bit about the first customer you've had signed up?
Yeah, so the first customer, I don't know what kind of details I can give. So it was a little bit smaller client, and that really helped us learn our TAM, our total addressable market. Like, hey, they have about 50 employees on site. They're already back in the office. So how can we make this work with having 50 employees and then setting up like 16 or 17? And so that was kind of a big challenge, is to show them like, hey, this is a new benefit. It's free for those that have vision insurance. Those that don't, it's still affordable to get that all right then. Very streamlined and a lot quicker than going to the eye doctor. But the biggest thing, I just learned a lot from it. So learning, our operations, what things could we fix? Because really, you think about every scenario that you can, but you miss some. So when we went on site last Thursday, setting up the equipment, all those different things, because I did it all by myself, and then of course my optometrist came, but it took about an hour. It was like 90-degree heat. So it's like, how can we change some of these operations so it's easier for me, and then once we hire someone to be able to set these up, run the front desk, do these different things. So that's really the biggest thing I learned from my first client is, more than just appointments and, having people being seen by the eye doctor, but how can we make this a better experience for the service providers, for the employees that we saw, and the company. And so that's kind of high level. But yeah, did that answer your question, Amy?
Yeah, it did. And I'm sorry, Matt. Maybe I missed this explanation earlier.
Yeah.
So
No
help
worries.
me understand. You've got each of these different areas. Are you offering them as a contract out? So if a nail technician has an opening, and you've got scheduled time to be at a specific office, can they take that spot, or are you hiring your optometrist, your nail technician, your hair, your barber, each like they're under your umbrella of employership, or are they a contract?
So really all these service providers are contractors, 1099. So most of them, let's talk about optometrists. So when they get out of school, they're working at 4 or 5 different practices so they can be able to learn and get that experience. So what we really do is to say, hey, if you want to work part-time or fill in or eventually full-time, we want to give you those hours and we can pay you as much or more than what you're making at these other places. And you don't have to worry about, you know, really anything, because most of them are paid by how many clients that they see, which is really beyond their control. We get all the clients, everything set up for them, so they just go and do what they love, so the eye exams. So to answer your question, yeah, everyone's a 1099, and so we find a client and it's like, hey, we want to do every Friday for massage therapy from 10 to 4 or something like that. So I have a network, a pool of each one of these service providers. So for optometry, I have about 25 to 30. And so based on what their schedule is and what works best for them, we just add additional hours for them to say, hey, does this work for you? You can go every Friday from 10 to 4 and get that massage therapy. And then I get paid directly from the client or the business, and we work out and we pay them per hour. So it's giving them more hours during this time, especially COVID. I know massage therapy and chiropractic, like some of them are saying, they've pretty much been unemployed because no one wants to go to them. People are going to you, but now we're coming to them. It's a lot. We're trying to changing the tables for them. So to say we want to give you more business and you can get more clients that way too. So let's say they go to a company, a chiropractor, that client or their family, let's say they have a car accident or they need an alignment, they can go directly to that person's clinic or their office. And so it's kind of a win-win. They can get extra pay from us during their slow times or the days off, and they can also have people come directly to them too. So, but yeah, everyone's a 1099 because of taxes and other things like that. That just seemed like that would be the best option. So yeah, great question. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I got a friend who does institutional. He does all the puts credit unions and all these small businesses. Literally puts an office in their business. Have you looked at joining services? Some of those groups that actually do that. So you have some established, plus they're already selling a higher end benefit package. Have you looked at co-marketing with some of these companies?
So what companies are you referring to?
Well, I'm there. I don't think I know the guy who's my ward at church.
Yeah.
He sells credit unions, and they put them in. I did it 40 years ago. We were putting credit unions into companies, and so we just come in and say, "Here's a credit union." We put up a little, a desk, and said, "Here's your financial services as an employee benefit." And of course, we made all the money off the insurance end of it, and plus we had the cash flow coming in from all the employees into the company. I'm thinking they're out there already. It's a nice mix to be able to say, well, we also have this. We're already here, and have a marketing group that's going to companies on a regular basis trying to do this. This can be added value to what they're doing.
So let me just restate. So it kind of like, let's say Young Living. I know they're not on site right now, but they have like on-site salon, stuff like that. Is that what you're referring to? Like they already have space?
Well, I would say, I know, let's say Mountain Foods has their own doctor, their own therapist on site.
So on-site clinics.
Yeah, they have on-site
Okay,
clinics.
yeah.
That's one group to look at. But the other ones are guys who just are totally non-competitive, which is the financial side. Guys who are banks, guys who are credit unions, who offer the consulting services for the employees, for the retirement program, but they have an on-site group that handles that. And that would be just a nice, because they're already in the system. I can get you his name and number, but
Yeah.
I'm going to, if I'm looking at from a large employer. Okay, if somebody else comes in, there's more people I got to deal with. But if it says, hey, here's this group that has all these other solutions with you as a co-op, I like that aspect. Okay, that's great. You just take care of this for us.
No,
You're now in my world. I'm saying, okay, well, I've got these guys financial. I got this for medical. Now I have this for hair. I got this. I got too many things to juggle, and I just just give me one. I just have to deal with.
Yeah, no, that's great. And that was a big problem in my previous in HR is we had vendors for everything, and I was like, why can't I consolidate? And we tried, right? And it just depends on leadership. But yeah, that's a big thing is if they already have an on-site medical or things like that, we want to partner with them so we can make it easier, and that's less time and really labor intensive for HR. So those are things that we have looked at, but we don't have like every single partnership in, like let's say Merit Medical, they have an on-site medical, or previous companies I've been at, they have on-site doctors. We could just really set up in there and have like on-site massage therapy or on-site chiropractic, and we just go during a certain time instead of being there 100% of the time. Like 1-800 contacts, they have an on-site optometrist, but they're one of the biggest contact distributors in the world, so that makes sense for them. But yeah, I think that's great, and I'd love to learn more from you. So yeah, we're still really new, and definitely don't know everything. And if I did, I wouldn't be here, right? You guys would be like, yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So definitely have a lot to learn and grow, but we're definitely open to connecting with you. So great question. Any others? I know it's 9:32, so.
You're good, Matt. We're
Awesome.
not watching the clock. So I do have just one follow-up question we ask all of our presenters.
Yeah.
You did share this with us earlier, but maybe recap what it is that the 1MC community can do for you.
So I think really what the 1MC community can do is, I think, just networking, and just like this gentleman up front, having those right connections and really helping me understand what's, some different things that I didn't think about before, like the one in Salt Lake, the 1 million cups when I presented about a month ago. They said, hey, have you thought about going to the VA and working with government contracts? That's a very labor intensive, but things I never really thought of before. I thought of, but really helped me understand and kind of say, hey, this is where we can go next. Everyone, even though if they're government employees, which it's not usually the funnest places to work sometimes, everyone kind of deserves these kind of benefits. And so just learning from you guys, your connections, and just really having a partnership. So like, what can I do to help you? And also vice versa. And I think that's really what Million Cups is all about. So yeah.
All right, let's thank Matt, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you.